So there is a lot of literature and books and videos and stuff about how hard it is to get men to accept the enmeshment, and how you're supposed to show them a bunch of resources and, you know, like threaten them that they need to go to therapy or else or whatever, and threaten them that you're going to leave them and stuff. And I really think this is missing a really important factor, which is something from the love and respect teaching, Emmerson Eggerichs. It's something that a lot of people find makes their marriage work really much better. And you know, something my husband and I follow and do, and it works really, really well. Helps us a lot. And I think that the kind of something that'll help you or help people if you're in this situation trying to get your husband to see the enmeshment or accept it, is to just be extraordinarily respectful. Like take it to the highest possible degree. And I personally have to work on this. I'm not perfect with it, and especially while you're talking to your husband, it's okay to just go think stuff and be frustrated by when you're on your own and be like, this is so ridiculous. Why is he being so like dull-headed about this? Or why is, you know, she's just. But when you talk to him, and you really need to control your thoughts and control the way you talk, because men are very affected by respect. And really crave respect. And the way someone described it in one of those videos on love and respect is like, when they don't get it, they end up just feeling like the whole world is against them, and if their wife is not respecting them, or their girlfriend, they're like, the whole world's against them, and they feel like they just can't manage to succeed. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that not all men in history even were able to reproduce it. You know, if you weren't up to a certain standard as a man, you weren't even going to get a chance to pass on your genes or anything. And so it can just be like really saddening, and just, you know, you weren't going to get good researchers. You weren't going to, you know, life's a lot more competitive for men than for women. There's a lot more element of status being viscerally, like evolutionarily important to them. So that helped me kind of empathize with why it's important. It's not just this silly thing like, oh, I don't know why men care so much about their egos. It's a visceral thing that they, you know, they just really, really need, the way that women need love. So just be extraordinarily respectful and talking about it. And I think the whole, if you're trying to make your man be like, accept that, like, oh, you've been abused, and it was from a woman, and also you're acting like a child, and you're just stuck in like a child, that's going to be really disrespectful and harsh, and like, you do not want to put it that way. And also, if you drag him to a therapist and you complain about him to the therapist, that's also disrespectful. If you do any kind of therapy, make it a joint thing where the two of you are just sort of presenting, you know, here's the here's what happened, and, you know, what can we do as a couple, like, here's what we're dealing with this mom, you know, like, how can we make boundaries together? And do not make it like, look at what he does. Like, do not ever put your husband down. And if you go to any kind of therapy, Laura Doyle will talk a lot about that too, about how couples therapy can be very damaging and can rip apart marriages, because it a lot of times involves being very disrespectful to the man, which just degrades his spirit. Any other thoughts about respect? If you talk to your man about that, I feel like in my experience as a wife, you can talk about almost anything respectfully, and you need to be like on your game. You need to be like rested and fed, and like when you decide to do these conversations, wait for the right time, and be alert to whether your husband's getting triggered, and if he is, just slow down, but just put a lot of things in terms of like, well, what do you think, or how do you see it, or like, you know,